How to Draw Cartoons with John-Marc.
Hey, it's John-Marc, and thanks for checking out this latest episode on teaching you how to draw a cartoon. Today I have 3 fun lessons for you to share with you. The first one is going to be a fish. A little cartoon fish done on the computer, but it'll feel like I'm doing traditionally. Some fun techniques and tips for sure. The second one is going to be a rock and roll snowman playing his banjo. It's going to be a fun one, but to some it may be a little challenge, but you know what? A challenge is always a good thing, I say from time to time. The third one is going to be another fish again, but with a unique twist to it. And what could that be? You're just going to have to wait to see. So if you have your paper and pencil, I think we're ready to begin all 3 of these. All right, let's begin today's lesson. And as you'll notice, I will be working on my computer, which it will feel like I'm sketching traditionally. That's the key thing here. This little cartoon fish is really going to be a simple one to work with. And as I can share with you, I love working on my fish because the expressions and personalities that you can really play up with them, such as the case that we have on this lesson right now. As you can see, I have the mouth, the teeth, and the tongue open, and I'm going to be working on the eye right now, and it overlaps the body. That's totally fine. That the key thing here is using your imagination, and it's a cartoon. Yet this is still, I would say, like a step number 2 level, and one mixed together on when I'm drawing. And as you can see here, there, look at the eyebrows on there too. Yeah, so the eyes are off the body intentionally, and that's just a style that I just did on this character. And I'm just going to shade in the eyebrows on top there, and let's get her little fin on the top, and let's get a little zips, little curly cube in the front, little curl on the top of the hair there. I like that. Well, the hair, I should say, the fin. But she's a little girly girl character. All right. And when I'm sketching with the stylus, I work with the pencil, and the transparency and the flow of the pencil I reduce down so it's not 100%. So the pressure when I'm working makes it a little bit soft, just like traditional pencil. So when I push harder, it gets a little bit heavier and lighter. And you can see I'm getting a bit heavier in some of the areas. And here's a little fin on the side right now. All right, that she's flapping away. And the second one on the other side on the bottom part there, as you can see. Very simple. Yeah, very easy. 2 other little fins underneath there. I'm shading the one further away, such as the side fin here. So these are her 2 fins, her left fin and her right fin here. And as I say at times, I love spots. So I actually create little spots for her. The back fin here, really, really quick. Little cut marks in there. I like the raggedy little types of fin. All right, let's get a little bit more detail in there. 2 stripes on each side. That's going to be like a little tone. And I actually have colored this in. She's actually purple with yellow fins. And let's get that a little bit darker on the top. Yeah, I think we're just about done almost there. Simple lesson, like I said. So in this lesson, it's just practicing sketching stylus, using your imagination as always. So make sure we sign and date. Share with your family and friends. Hey, now wasn't that a cute little cartoon fish? Her name is Bubbles, cute little character. Now what did you do different? Did you change it to your style? Or did you add some fish buddies or put it into an aquarium, or maybe it's in the ocean? Ooh, that would be really cool. Using your imagination. Now, did you notice how I was drawing at times? Sometimes my strokes were really fast and quick. That is because I practice a lot, and it's the confidence that I have built up through all these years. You can get that too. Now, the next lesson is going to be this little cute little cartoon snowman rocking away. So before we go there, stay tuned after these messages.
And now back to our show.
Hey, now if you're ready to do this little rock and roll snowman playing his little banjo, I think we're ready to begin this lesson. But
Please note, it may be difficult, that's okay, and take a lesson on this and maybe just sit back and watch and learn. But if you're challenging yourself and try to jump in, awesome. So if you have your paper and pencil, I think we're ready to begin.
All right, this lesson, once again, I will be working off of my computer, which it'll feel like I'm sketching traditionally. The first line you saw that I was drawing is the action line. At times I'll do that, but in this lesson, just to share with you so that you have that momentum and as you're building the character. So the top is his head and his body. I have 3 different levels for this little snowman playing a little guitar or banjo, whichever one you want to say. And basically, this lesson, feel free to experiment and use your imagination. You may want to change his instrument. He could be playing a saxophone, a flute, or a violin, just changing the arms. Or you could keep this lesson and do multiple little snowmen and have them a whole band playing. All right, so I have the scarf laid out, and I'm going to be playing around with a little hat on top there. All right, just working on the idea. This character, not character, I should say, this was just a little clip art that I created to put onto like little stickers and elements onto some of my projects many years ago. So I'm just redoing it in front of you. So this has been a drawing that I did, so I'm just redrawing it again. So this is a simple but fun lesson, and I thought it'd be a good one to do right now to share with you. All right, so his little eyes, I'm going to get a little bit darker. You can change the expression on there if you want to. Again, your snowman could have 2 instead of 3 little circles, or 4 for them, or it could just have 1 big circle too. All right, and here's his little carrot nose. Got to get that carrot nose in there for sure. Remember growing up and making snowman, and yes, we used Oreo cookies and sometimes the carrots for noses, but sometimes we just took little rocks and stuck them in for the eyes as well. All right, there's his little mouth, wide open, and he's a happy little guy because he's playing some Christmas music right now. The shape, you don't have to make it look like a human head, so it could be little optically wrong, the shapes of the circle. All right, so let's get the little more like the banjo, I should say, not the guitar. A little circle there. Okay, and this is like a 2-point perspective. If you've seen my other lessons, you'll understand the point and purpose to understanding how to work in perspective, because it just kind of helps. So it's coming towards you, but also how the angle of the actual instrument right now is laying out. All right, so I got to get his little hand in there playing and the other one holding it. Let me get finished working on the little detail stuff to the little banjo right now. All right, it's looking good. And this is just a real simple sketch, nothing too detailed in that case. But the one that I finished, actually, I worked over this actual art and I made it a lot tighter, but I left the sketchiness. I didn't clean it up with a pen or brush, and I just used a watercolor to color him in and everything. So sometimes having that pencil look to the art is kind of nice. Like, you might see that in a lot of children's books, but I enjoy that. Okay, here's his little wooden hand, I should say, a tree. I'm going to make it kind of like tree branches feel to it, and he's holding the little pick there, and he's going to be playing some Christmas. I don't know what he's playing. One thing I hope he doesn't do is, of course, have some hot chocolate. He'll melt himself. All right. This lesson is more at an advanced level of some of my other drawings for sure, because of how you can see the hand, the perspective, and grabbing the guitar. So challenging yourself as an artist, I say at times, is a good thing. And I still do that for myself. So always trying to stay safe is not the best thing. Pushing yourself, you would get stronger as an artist, and you would appreciate pushing yourself so you can get to more and more levels and becoming a better artist. All right, there's a little scarf there going down. I'm going to I'm thinking like a checkered or maybe just stripes, maybe stripes. The little lanterns on the bottom, they're little tassels, I should say. There we go, little tassels. All right, Yeah, this makes it a little fun on him, even though he doesn't need a scarf. Again, feel free to, you might want to put a shirt on him, a jacket on him, a bow tie or a tie on there. And I love to see how the back is. It kind of gives you that flare sticking out and everything. So it's not perfectly circle and perfectly shaped. That's the nice thing. You could even give him a vest. That'll be really cool. Put a cowboy hat on him and a vest. He could be singing country Christmas songs. There's a little hand there, a little bit more detail now. Getting a little bit heavier with my stylus. Again, the same thing that I have shared from time to time. What I'll do with my stylus, it's not 100%. I'll pull back the opacity and the flow of the pencil, so when I'm pushing down, it doesn't immediately give that 100%. I have to push harder or go over it more and more to get that darker stroke on there. As you can see, the fingers, the hands, and the little arm here, how I'm going over and over again, a bit heavier and heavier. And hey, you know what? Let's add some little leaves, some branches on the side of his arm there. That'd be kind of fun. And the inside there, little three-dimensional. All right. I like that. He's looking good. And again, some more. So when you're working on these ideas, and what gives me these ideas, believe it or not, it comes randomly sometimes. You could be watching a TV show, walking outside. You could be looking at a cartoon series, or in this case, what inspired me was Christmas music. And then I said, you know what? Let's turn a song with a snowman playing an instrument. So whatever, sometimes what I do is I have a piece of paper to write down my thoughts so I don't forget. So I just jot down snowman playing an instrument, and then all these notes is like what inspires me if I can't draw at that moment because I might be busy doing some other projects or work. But just taking notes to inspire you. And then exactly this one, I came back weeks later and I did a little fun little cartoon out of him. And it was fun. I didn't do the rest of the band. That's something I should do. I could have like a little snowman playing the piano, one on the drums. That'd be really fun to play with. And then another one just all by herself. I'm making a snow girl, snow girl, and I would actually make her singing. That'd be kind of fun. And just shading underneath the hat there right now. All right. Should I add a feather in his hat? I'm not so sure. Let me think that over. That this is like the typical black hats with that little velvet and that centerpiece there. Yeah, let's get the pattern first. And more like a little stripe pattern on the scarf there. All right. I maybe just leave it as is. I'm just thinking, yeah, probably will. A little darker for the arm there. Yeah, I think he's in place right now. It looks good to me right now. As to finish this lesson up, as always, let's sign, date, share with your family and friends.
Hey, how did you like that little cartoon snowman playing the banjo? Did you have a good time watching it? Did you learn some new techniques and tricks? Maybe you experimented and challenged yourself. That would be a good thing. Even if you didn't challenge yourself and you did it Euro style, perfect altogether. If you notice some of the techniques I shared with you, with that action line, again, that character and that pose, well, what can you do to help that out? Take pictures so it's not still and flat. It's like action shots and movement. So those pictures, then you can take and redraw them as if they were the little cartoon snowman. So imagine if he's playing a saxophone, like this, holding it down. Take a picture and use that to draw from. Key tip of the day for you. So if you enjoy this lesson, the next secret lesson, I said secret because I didn't tell you what we're going to be doing. You're just going to have to wait after these messages.
And now back to our show.
Okay, are you guys ready for this third and final lesson for today? This technique that I'm going to share with you is going to be really interesting. I'm going to be doing it all digitally, but I'm going to be using layers. I'm going to have the character done on the first one, really quick, really simple. And what I'm going to do from there, then make a new layer using the computer above. The one below is going to be a little transparent, kind of like ghosting it out. And the layer above, I'm going to redraw over a lot cleaner. So this technique is actually going to use to help you in future lessons when I'm doing coloring. Ooh, yeah, coloring on the computer. So If you are ready and you have your paper and pencil, you can practice along or just watch. So let's begin.
All right, this lesson is going to be a real unique and nice one for you guys. I share from time to time that I like to share a really sketchy drawing and turn it and clean it up afterwards. And that's exactly what we're going to do with this lesson. And as I am drawing, I'm just quickly sketching out the body, really sketchy as you can see. And I have the body, the fin, the mouth, and the eyes. And once again, I'm working on the digital aspect on the computer, and the purpose behind that is so I can share how I turn it into a layer. And what I mean by that is having another drawing underneath, kind of like a light box, and I just dim it down and I can just clean it up. All right, so this one, as you can see, a very simple fish. And the body, once again, I'm just quickly getting all the basics down so I can do the cleanup version for you much better. So I'm just giving the elements that I like. And when you're doing this, you don't need to worry about erasing or am I doing anything right or wrong. It's basically just getting the basic shapes and the form, and then the cleanup totally is when things change at that time, or possibly stay as is. And I have the fins on the top and the bottom. As you can see, this is not speed drawing in any which way. This is sometimes how I really draw, sometimes really quick. And that's just to give that whole flow. Now the fin in the back, I'm flipping it, kind of giving a little dimension, a little bit overlapping action. All right, so let's shade that little mouth in like that. And okay, so am I looking pretty good? I think we might be. So here we go. Now I dimmed it, as you can see. So I have another layer as if this was a light box. Now note how much slower I'm drawing over what I just recently did. So this is traditionally, like I said, if it was like an animation when I used to do it, still do, but digital, a little bit different on paper. And I had my animation wheel and you had the light coming through. You would see the pages and the illustrations underneath there that you can work on. Or in this case, if you were on a light box and cleaning up some artwork, you would actually have your sketch underneath. And you can redraw it, and then from that point you'll see the final version really sharp and clean where you don't need to, you ready, erase those lines. So the sketchiness first, and then the second level a little bit cleaner. And then if I wanted to, I'd take it to the computer again. I could ink it in and color it, or if I had this on a light box, if I had to turn it onto like a bristle board, smooth or textured, from there I could practice and just do different techniques if it's watercolor or color pencils. Or in this case, I could leave it right on the computer and color it on the computer as well, and have another layer for that one. So sometimes you can see those long strokes that I'm going by, those long strokes. Again, just like zip, zip, 1, 2, 1, 2. That is because of all the years of practicing my eye and hand. I have that good feel. I just like, okay, this feels good. I'm going, don't, like all the speed lines here, really sharp. And I get this other one over here. So let's get the fin here. You see that fin in one shot, two shot, a little sketching, a little bit, one shot, a little bit more. And that's practice. And that's just practice because I sketch. And that's the technique of drawing that is missing in today's lessons and people showing. So I really want to help encourage you to bring that back, because it is a game changer as being an artist for sure. You can really get your thoughts out. All right, yeah, as you can see here now, I changed that bottom fin right there and the whole like the overlapping. I did the whole thing instead of just the top part up there for right now. Shading in the back of the fin there, that's more like the body, and the curvature of the fin below. So it's kind of like moving a little bit. And these curves, when I put those speed lines on there, kind of gives you that momentum, that distance. All right. You know, I can't forget the coral reef part still, so I'm going to get back to that pretty soon. Okay, there's a little curl on there. All right, that's looking good. Yeah, let's add those little lines in the back of the fins again. All right, so here we go on just creating the background. Once again, a suggestion, you may want to put this on another layer. So if you don't like it, you don't have to erase it from the original art. And you can easily just change or move the fish around on the background. This case, I didn't do that. This is actually on the same layer. But note, having multiple layers when you're working digitally is a real good asset. If you're doing this traditionally, you don't have that benefit, which is a good thing to understand, that technique. It's a little bit harder, but it's more of a challenge. I have the seaweed and the coral over there. I'm going to just shade this one back here a little bit. All right, that's looking good. I like that little different little small ones, little big ones overlapping each other. And again, I'm not erasing anything in here because this is just a typical sketch right now, even though the fish is a lot cleaner than the coral reef that I'm doing. That's perfectly fine. All right, I have some bubbles that I'm adding so the fish gives that little feel underneath the water. I like that. Hey, it's looking pretty good right now. All right, at this time, this lesson, I think I'm ready to sign, date, share with your family and friends.
Hey, now this lesson was something different for sure. You might not have seen it or you might have, but my techniques that I'm going to be sharing with you for future lessons are going to be totally opening up a lot of doors for you as an artist and being creative. Now the key thing is I had 2 layers, but in future lessons it doesn't limit to 2. You can have hundreds of layers. That's when you're coloring. Some fun tips. Now what did you notice what I did on that lesson? Again, the first thing was the really quick sketch, and then the second one on top, I went a little bit slower with more detail. That's what I want you to really pay attention to. That technique isn't new to the computer. That was what we were doing with traditionally animation, with the light box that we had this going back and forth. Nothing new. You can still do this way with traditionally, but you're going to have a light box. Now, after all these 3 lessons, we had the fish, we had the little rock and roll snowman, and then we had the layers. I hope you learned something from all 3 of these practical tips. My website is jmg-studio.biz. As always, thanks for watching this episode and have a great day.